and the other indigenous people disrespect, because you guys were not even listening. We have to ask you to please be quiet. Nobody's listening, nobody paying attention. How can we talk about reconciliation and make it better if nobody even pay attention? I'm still talking and nobody's paying attention. It's our responsibility as an immigrant that I am, that came to this land, that belongs where I live in Gatineau, belongs to Algonquin people. The least that we can do to show respect to all the suffering that they're still going through is at least to listen to the stories. Because when we listen to them, we understand more. And that's what I have to say. And I'm speaking from my heart like you did. I don't believe in reconciliation because Algonquin people didn't do nothing to the French, nothing to the British. They did to them. So how can we reconcile? So all we need to do is show our children and show respect as an immigrant. Give thanks not to Canada. Canada has been selected as so many consecutive years as the best country that provides the best quality of life. Life of who? Immigrants. Then let's show respect to the indigenous people because thanks to them, Canada exists. That's all I have to say.
Muchas gracias, Danilo. Thank you very much for speaking from the heart. Thank you. Yes, please, and I'll go to you next. Come on in front.
Well, I think colonization is the worst ever invention of the West. They thought that they will go to their love, their democracy, but they never did, actually. What happened in South America, North America, Africa, Middle East are very well-known examples. So with respect to Madame Claudette Command, we don't need to only learn history. 2 years ago, in Quebec, in a hospital, an indigenous woman was assaulted, killed, just because she was an indigenous. So it wasn't a history. We're still living this racism against our brothers and sisters from the indigenous people. I just want to remind you all that people's power is stronger than people in power. If we stand together and teach ourselves, our children, that colonization is a racism, that's the only way we can start. So my question is, do you think that we have to insert a subject like a math, science, language, which we called it Truth and Reconciliation, very beautiful name, okay? Can we do that for our children from grade 1 to grade 12?
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful remark, and thank you for the question.
Okay.
I believe you're ready to answer.
Oh, I'm ready. Oh, I'm really ready. But I want to say thank you to the beautiful, powerful words that were shared here. To answer your question, and I got to stand up for this. Absolutely. Education was used against our people to take away our land, our identity, and our rights. And I'll quote the words of what my grandson said. If our children were old enough or young enough to be taken away from home and put into that systems called residential school, so-called education, then your children are young enough to learn the truth. And it's got to start at a very young age, period. Because that's the education is what is a powerful tool. And Canada has been using their education system to make all of your people who have come here to not like us or to not know us. Out of mind, out of sight, right? Well, you know what? Change the damn education system and put in the right curriculum, and let's time now that our story will be told in all of Canada, in the education systems. And I agree with my brother here, Eric. I don't like that word reconciliation. I don't like it because my people did not break anything at all whatsoever. We did not do wrong. But they used that word to make us feel that we did something wrong, that we're part of this. The right word is Action. Don't say reconciliation because it's only a nice, warm, feel-good word, and you just get a couple of our people to come in here, play the drum, jingle dress, dance around, raise the feather. Oh, good little Indians, but let's go back and let's completely deny their suffering. Our lands have been taken from us. We don't have clean drinking water. Our children are still being taken from us. Our women are dying. More of them are missing Indigenous women, right? On and on and on. But at the same time that this is going on, we continue giving our responsibility by sharing and loving and respecting. And as what my brother Randy said here and others are saying, respect. That's the only word. And thank you, sister. I don't like that word tolerance either. We don't have that word in our language. We do have a word called respect. We do have a word called accept. We do have a word called love. So yes, my brother, yes, in the education systems from a very young age all the way up, including in universities, period. Miigwech, thank you.
Miigwech, Elder Commander, you know when she stands up on stage, she means business. One more time, round of applause. And I know Dr. Rubo wanted to say something about this too.
So I have something to share with you. Elder Commander, you're going to like this, and Dr. Jamal Sharif. My son is 11 years old, okay, going to Elizabeth Bruyère, which is part of the French Catholic Board. He's grade 6 now. About a couple of months ago, he asked me suddenly, out of the blues, he said, Mama, if there is something you can change, if you can go back in history and change something, what would it be? And I was surprised. Why would an 11 years old ask me such a question? It's a big question. And I said, I answered, of course, as a mother, you'll speak to your son from the heart. I said, I wouldn't change anything, not one single thing, because you wouldn't be here. If anything deviated in my path, I wouldn't have you. So I don't think I want to change anything, because then you might not be here. And I stopped a second. I said, okay, what about you? What would you change? And here's the answer. He said, I think I would change the way the first settlers treated the indigenous and the natives here. So I was shocked, honestly, that an answer of an alone, and he's an old soul, he's really a thoughtful person. And he asked Steph, and he said, oh, do you learn about these things in school? Because I know when I went to university, I didn't hear about it. I didn't know they were teaching about that in school. He's like, yeah, we are learning about the history. And I don't like that part of the history. So I do have a struggle as a mother, as an immigrant who wants to raise her kids in Canada and want them to be proud citizens, proud, happy, integrated citizens. How much, do we do of the teachings, but also without making carry that guilt and the feeling that they should be ashamed of being Canadians? That's where there's balance for me. I think we need to have more open conversations and honest conversation about this, so that we, in my opinion, to strike a balance where, yes, we acknowledge the mistakes of the past, but without burdening also our kids who are immigrants and who want to flourish here with a feeling that they are not proud Canadians. That's a question, honestly, to the panelists, because you will be able more to answer it than I could.
Thank you, Dr. Ruma.
I'm not going to answer the question, but as a member of a community that also has been historically traumatized by anti-Black racism systemically is a thing. It is a thing. And it continues to express itself in the overrepresentation, along with First Nations and Indigenous people, in the prison system, we end up with a lot of the same kinds of trauma and results socially, right? And we get told the same thing, Black History Ottawa, when we, have Black History Month, and we remind Canadians that hold up, black people were here 400 years ago? Stop acting like we just showed up the other day. And we understand that the reason they erase, minimize, what do you call that? Gaslight, erase, and minimize. We understand that the reason why is to make sure you stay in your place in the national narrative. Let us talk about the national narrative. That's why I do this work with Black History Month and Black History on Turtle Island. Because myself, as someone in the media, I understand how national narratives shape the way certain communities in a country are viewed. So you've seen what happened to the First Peoples and the Métis and the Inuit because of a national narrative that completely just pushed them to the margins and relegated them to we know. And I understand your concern about, well, we don't want to make it look like everything is bad, etc. And so our children are growing up saying, I'm Canadian, but I really don't want to admit it because of all the bad things that happened in the history of this country, etc. I, myself, as someone from a community that has been maligned and traumatized, I don't see that I should be less proud of the country, but while really making sure that I understand that this country was built on blood and suffering. Suffering that is not in the past, that continues to this day. You can be proud of the people who, in spite of all of the violence and the trauma and the gaslighting, etc., have turned out like Brother Randy. Resilience, strength, power. You can teach your child that. You can say, yeah, you can be proud to be Canadian, but you can be proud of the people that Canada hasn't treated right, who in spite of that, love this Turtle Island, love their culture, love us. They don't owe us anything. They don't owe us anything. They, in fact, if they chose, they could kick us out if they had the means to do so, but they don't. So there has to be a way to make sure that your child knows the truth of what it means to be Canadian with all of the ugliness in the history and in the present. I'm really concerned about this gaslighting I hear, and unfortunately, I'm hearing it in our immigrant communities and racialized communities. We're the last people that should be talking like that because we came here because we had problems back home. We don't want to come here and contribute to the marginalization of our first people. So let's always be aware that just because you say there are all these wrongs in the history, it doesn't mean you're making your child feel ashamed of being Canadian. Let's teach our children to be responsible, conscious citizens. And again, it's the respect and acceptance.
Thank you very much, Sarah. You can catch her on Rogers TV and also two of the shows in True FM 89.1, Black on Black, and Africa Revisited. So we're really running out of time. I know we have a young gentleman who wanted to ask a question, and I know doctors and an elder wanted to say something. So if we can do it very, very quickly, because our cultural performers are so excited and ready to put on a show for you. So very, very quick words, please. We're going to go to Dr. Elder, and a quick question, and Eric. How about that? You wrap up this discussion.
I never
Go
get
for it.
called doctor. This is so fun. I can only fix essays. So just about education, I just am a product of the public school system, so thank you that I didn't have to go to residential school. But all education is propaganda. every single little bit of it, and I realized that at a young age. So I was grateful for the public school system that gave me my friends whose parents were immigrants, but I recognized that it was only one form of knowing. And so from my perspective, in order to build stronger, more resilient communities and stronger even Canadians, which in my opinion is a fictive thing that lays parallel to the real world, we would do more to raise all of us in Indigenous ways. So when we are on this territory, we're learning from Algonquin people in Algonquin ways. When I went to Italy, I learned Italian, so on and so forth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Elder McGregor?
Really quickly, if you look at the education system, it was really geared, there was a reason why they called it industrial schools. And it's always geared that way, but then maybe it's time for a change too in terms of bringing back that diversity, because it is this industrialization now that we are in trouble today with the earth, and that was foretold. The other one is sitting with the elders too as well. What they would say is, one of the elders in 1967, he was doing a canoe demonstration, and people were coming up and spitting on him. And I said, why didn't you get mad? I would have got mad. He goes, no, he said, I said, this is Claudette's grandfather, and he's also a relative of mine. He said, I told him, I love you, my brother, because what it was, he says, is if you really, really look at it, the people who came to our shores were also escaping oppression and violence and genocide. And if you really look back on the history of people, and what happened is when the people came here, what they did was they just reinvented or rebuilt the system they were running away from, because that's the only system they knew, and without learning why we lived the way we did. So he said, we're in need of healing since 1492, but if you look at the people coming to the shores, it goes deeper and longer than that too as well. So that also have an understanding of empathy and understanding when people do things and they respond, and their basic, what we were always reminded of is respect for everybody's belief in creation or their creator, because ultimately we're all headed in the same direction, whether we like it or not. So miigwech.
Miigwech, Elder McGregor. Thank you very much. Dr. Gosh, it looks like we're going to need to start in the morning next time. Okay? I know the young man, do you have a really quick question, sir? Yes, do you? Okay. He's dying to ask this question, so Mr. Eric, before I turn to you. Last one, and then that's it. Otherwise, I'm fired.
All right, I'll be as quick as I can. My name is Nicholas Joguer. I'm with the Croatian community here in Ottawa, and it's really an honor to be here and to listen and learn from you. So in our language, what we would say in Croatian, hvala, so hvala. My father immigrated here from the Republic of Croatia in 1969, and he inadvertently became part of the Canadian colonial states